for Niner Talk Central, here's Dylan DeSimone and Turron Davenport.
All right, we're back in the house. Niner Talk Central, episode 2. Dylan, what's up, man? How you doing?
What's going on, dude? How was your weekend?
Oh, man, weekend was good. Birthday, July 5th. I definitely enjoyed that. Went to a friend's wedding. And, man, I had a good week, man. Definitely a good week. Been looking forward to the show and, can't wait to get started.
Yeah. So, everybody, welcome to another installment of Niner Talk Central. I'm Dylan DeSimone of Writer Report. Thank you. And with me is my co-host, Turron Davenport of Base Sportsnet. Today, we're just going to get right into it. We wanted to talk about the wide receivers today. Big loss was Michael Crabtree with the Achilles tendon in OTAs. And it's kind of going to be the storyline of training camp next week.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be the storyline. And we're going to look at the three receivers that are out there that will compete for the spot. Quentin Patton, we're going to talk a little bit about him with Scott Bischoff of New Era Scouting. Ricardo Lockett, that's another guy that's definitely going to be a presence in training camp and a guy we're going to look at. And my man, A.J. Jenkins, man. Definitely looking forward to seeing how he's going to be able to contribute. And, man, I'm looking forward to the receiver position, the workout, and there's a lot of competition. Who's some guys that you think are going to stand out in camp?
Well, the one guy you didn't mention, actually, the guy that I actually think my favorite to win the number 2, Kyle Williams, in his 4th year. He's the most veteran receiver on the roster right now. I think he's got a lot of ability. I mean, you've seen it. That's pretty much my go-to guy. That's the one I talk about. So we kind of wanted to talk about it with Scott of New Era Scouting. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Kyle Williams is a guy that's going to – I like him in the slot. He could probably play the Z position. I see him as a Victor Cruz type guy that will be a big play threat from the slot position. Also got to mention Mario Manningham, another guy that will threaten to get some playing time at the X spot. So receiver position looks good. We can't forget about Bolden. I'm actually excited about this receiver core. I think it's deeper than it was last year. Crabtree will be back in November. He's already in the gym working out. So the world is now going to end now that Michael Crabtree's been injured. But, I mean, it's definitely a big blow. Obviously, that was a target that Kaepernick liked to focus on. So it's just going to be a matter of regrouping and getting things back together, getting that chemistry with Vernon Davis that he showed in the Super Bowl. And I'm definitely excited about what this team will bring offensively.
Yeah, there's reason to be excited. I mean, it's not the end of the world. There's definitely a reason to be excited. They've invested time and resources in these players. So, that's why they haven't signed anybody. Somebody's going to emerge. And one of the guys that's a big candidate is Quentin Patton, like you said, the rookie. So, the rookie out of Louisiana Tech was a big player, stepped up to the plate a lot, and 49ers basically stole him in the middle of the draft. And for, he was a projected second rounder for the most part. What did you think of him when you saw him in the NCAA?
Oh, I actually like Quentin Patton a lot. Obviously, that Texas A&M game, I mean, he cost some kid a scholarship probably as badly as he dominated those corners. And also the Illinois game, he showed off in that game as well. I like his ability. He's very similar to Crabtree and Bolden as far as the build's concerned. And he's a guy that's sure-handed. He's an acrobat when it comes to making plays in the air. And I like Quentin Patton a lot. And not to mention, he's also a presence in block. He's not scared to mix it up when it comes to blocking. Definitely was a steal, and I'm very excited that we were able to get a hold of him.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back.
Football fans, looking to get healthy this year? Now is the time, and I have the perfect place for you. Save 10% at onit.com/football radio. Exclusive PFC radio listeners save 10% off their order. That's onit.com, ONNIT.com/football radio.
All right, so we're back. We got Scott Bischoff on the line. He's an actual up-and-coming college scout. And, Scott, how you doing, man?
I'm well. How are you?
Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Yeah, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Anytime.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you have going on before we get into some Quentin Patton talk?
Okay, so I've been doing scouting for a little while. I'm currently working with Russ Landy, GM Junior Scouting Service. Russ is currently the college director of scouting for the Montreal Alouettes. So we're handling some of that, but we do, every year there's the draft guide that comes out, and there's lots of media scouting that goes on. So, but we're doing it all. We're breaking down film. We're going to games. We're doing live breakdowns and film breakdowns and all-star games and all that stuff. So. It's a very involved, it's an involved business. What we're doing. It's we like to think that we see things differently than maybe some other people, but I suppose the results are what they are, and we'll let them stand for themselves. How about that?
There you go. Nothing speaks more than results, right?
Yeah, that's true. That is very true.
Yeah. So what we want to do today is get into Quentin Patton. We're talking a little bit about wide receivers. So I just wanted to get your take on Quentin Patton, what you thought of him at the college level, and how you project him to fit into the 49ers offense.
Well, the first thing, and I'm sure everybody has realized this by now, is that it was absurd that a team like the 49ers got him where they got him. Unfortunate for the rest of the league, I would say, is fair to say. I don't know why he slipped and went as low as he did. I don't have any answers for that. We had a high-end second-round grade on him.
Right.
And there were some that were talking about him possibly being even the second wide receiver taken because of his let's call it polish. He's ready to go now.
Right.
Everything he does is full speed. It seems effortless. It's there's some Reggie Wayne comparisons there, maybe not size wise, but just the fluent, effortless efficiency at which he does everything, which is mainly for him, which is his route running, his ability to separate. So we loved what we saw. Being a junior college transfer, there's some kids that come in and struggle to pick up offenses. And there were some kids in the draft last year that did that. He was not one of those. He came in out of junior college and lit it up and continued to. He had 2 great years at Louisiana Tech. We loved what we saw then. Now we didn't think, when we saw him, we didn't think, number one big go-to receiver. We thought, a guy who could play the number 2 position and perhaps out of the slot. So then I suppose. I can go through some scouting notes that I have about him.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Okay. Yeah, that was good. Okay, so one of the first things that stood out at the Senior Bowl was he played with savvy almost on every snap. So there was head fakes, there were shoulder fakes, he sold everything, and it looked like he was beating everybody. I don't know if either of you guys were out there, but he did a really good job. In every aspect, catching the ball away from his frame. Just a savvy route runner, very highly polished. He has really. He does not have great, long speed, but he's got enough quickness that he's going to be very difficult to cover. Right. He showed that at the Senior Bowl. He was very difficult for those guys to hang with.
I watched some
of those guys.
I watched some of his one-on-ones. I didn't get to make it to the Senior Bowl, but they had the practices televised, and I did see his one-on-ones, and that's really where he set his mark. So I definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah, he was dominant in one-on-one.
Yeah, receivers, with quickness, be able to win their one-on-ones like that wherever they're lined up. Nowadays,
and in the
new
NFL,
black guy.
Yes, well, in the new NFL, if you've got guys like that, think of Victor Cruz, who lines up in the slot for the Giants offense and uses a defensive back's leverage against him. And, if the guy leans one way, he's going the other way, and he's too quick to cover.
That two-way go.
Yeah. The two-way go is exactly what I would say Quentin Patton's his future is going to be. He's got a lot of natural wiggle to his game. So even though he might be moving laterally, he's still moving, he's still accelerating, or he's moving forward very quickly. He doesn't lose speed by making moves.
And he's a guy who can chew up a lot of the quarter. If they're playing off coverage on him, he can chew up a lot of that cushion instantly, and he's on top of the cornerbacks before they can move. And that's what we saw at the Senior Bowl. He was very, very impressive. Now, as far as how that translates into the 49ers offense, which is loaded, that's complicated. But I suppose it's only as complicated as what their system tells it to be. Does that make sense?
It does.
So, with the loss of Crabtree, go ahead.
No, you were continuing with Michael Crabtree.
Yeah, with the loss of Crabtree and the addition of Bolden, so this is a question I actually have for you guys. I don't have an answer, but it's something I've been thinking about. Is it possible we're going to see two tight ends with Vance McDonald playing a traditional tight end and have you see maybe Vernon Davis flexed out wide playing?
I think you're going to see that. I think you're going to see that sometimes, but I think they're going to use a lot of 12 personnel and actually have Vance McDonald not flexed out wide, but in like a wing type position, a lot similar to how they use Delaney Walker, where they would motion him and he would motion to the hole that the running back's going to run through and kind of serve as a fullback. But then also, I think because of the quickness that McDonald brings to the table and the ability, the familiarity he has with working in the slot position, I think they're going to let him line up there a lot. And obviously Vernon will get some time at the slot. They like to put Vernon out wide from time to time as well. So I think what they're going to do is use that 12 personnel to kind of dictate some mismatches. And I really like
22.
Say it again?
Could you see 22 personnel out of what they're doing?
I think they're going to stick more to 12 personnel. But, I mean, knowing Greg Roman, you know what I mean? The mad scientist, you never know what he's going to do. I mean, this is a guy
I think they're going to have to change it up a little. With the loss of Crabtree, they're going to have to do something. Vernon Davis is fast enough, quick enough that you could put him anywhere on the field and he can mismatch it, anywhere.
Scott, I kind of thought they would do the 22. I agree. I kind of thought they were going to do the 22. I thought they drafted Vance high for a reason. Not that they knew Crabtree was going to be hurt, but that whole dynamic of the two tight ends, the two freaky tight ends. I mean, if Vance McDonald had gone anywhere else, he might have been
exactly what I thought.
You would have,
and you're right. You're right. And he played so much out of the slot, in college that it seemed like there was a reason. And so I'm in Detroit, just for some perspective. And the 49ers don't do anything without a reason, or at least it seems that way. And they've built they're the powerhouse. I think they took a lot of heat for taking A.J. Jenkins as high as they did last year, but he's a player who can emerge. So when you wanted to talk about Quentin Patton, it's tough because, there's a lot of guys like that they already have. Kyle Williams is a similar size, similar player. Manningham's, similar size, similar player. But Patton, I think, he has the ability to put himself on the field and be productive right away. And that was one of the things that we at GM Junior loved when we saw him.
I think
you were touching on something that I wanted to add on to that was that a lot of the guys, since they had kind of come in, since Balky was the GM and since Harbaugh kind of came in, they've been taking these guys. Crabtree came from the air raid offense. Kendall Hunter came from air raid offense. They both played with Daniel Holgerson. And then Patton's from the air raid offense. This evolving kind of spread West Coast attack is perfectly suited for all their skill sets. They have not gone after a big body receiver. They could have had Stephen Hill and they didn't take him. They could have had DeAndre Hopkins, or not DeAndre Hopkins, but the other receiver that had fallen out of the draft that's in Buffalo now. They could have taken
Keenan Allen.
Derrick Rogers.
You're talking Robert Woods or Keenan Allen?
No, Derrick Rogers. They could have taken Derrick Rogers.
Yeah.
Did not do it. And it's just because they've been building. They like the athletic kind of do-it-all receivers like Kyle. That's why I think Kyle Williams has a legitimate shot.
What they do is they put guys in positions to be successful. So
exactly.
it's not necessarily that they're passing on players that they can't use. It's just that they know Vance McDonald serves a purpose. They know that Quentin Patton serves a purpose. Are you going to be right all the time? No. But they've been right more than they've been wrong.
Yeah, I
that
like the
roster is
pick of
ridiculous.
both Patton and McDonald, and I mean, Dylan, you hit the nail on the head when you talk about getting guys that could that are already experienced in a spread type of offense. And I mean, the
Yeah,
Niners offense could be wide open, but let's not forget, for most of the year they were the number one rushing attack. So there's so much that
that's
these
what makes him
guys
so
can
dangerous.
bring, and naturally, one thing we didn't really talk about with Quentin Patton was his ability to block. That he's a feisty guy when it comes to blocking downfield. So
Yeah, yeah.
herein
He likes to get
lies
after it.
another
He does.
quality. And
Yeah,
McDonald, you look, he had two, not that he will be running the ball with the 49ers, but he had two 100-yard rushing games. And then not to mention, he's already used to blocking in the same type of
Yep.
set that Delaney Walker did when they run into that the the read option when they run that. So
Yep.
yeah.
it's definitely there, and it definitely makes sense. And Scott, you were 100% right. They definitely do everything with a purpose, and you can see the purpose with these two picks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the other things that Patton does really well is catch the ball. He's got really big hands. I think his hands were 9.5 inches or so. I mean, that's big for a guy who's 6 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of what you would consider to be a plucker, where a guy who just kind of catches the ball away from his body. Now, he does that more closer to the line of scrimmage. One of the issues with Patton where you could see a little bit of struggle is down the field. I'm not going to say he was a body catcher, but down the field, cornerbacks tend to be able to break up passes a little easier on him than they do when he uses his own leverage, or their own leverage against them. So, I think it's one of the things that they're going to have to teach him and work with him on is really extending his arms away from his frame. How everything happens in the NFL, a little quicker, a little faster. Guys are going to get there a half a step quicker, and they're going to break up passes on him. But refresh me. He was a late fourth round pick, right?
Yes. Yep. Late. I think it was pick number 126 or 128, something like that.
Yeah.
But he was
Scott, I had one last question for you. I was wondering what you kind of have to say for, in this division handling corners that kind of either get in your head or they, physically get at you like Richard Sherman and Cortland Finnegan do. Him being a small school player, does that carry any weight whatsoever to you?
No, not at all. I think the concept of small school sometimes means, I got to find a way to put this. I don't know the exact situation with Quentin Patton, and I wouldn't want to speak directly to it, but I can generalize. Junior college transfers go to junior college for a reason out of high school. That doesn't mean they have diminished talent. He played in an offense in college the last 2 years where they really relied upon him, and he did not disappoint on any level. And it's not like they played bad competition.
right.
So from a perspective of, are you worried about him getting rattled because he wasn't playing in the SEC? No, I wouldn't think that's the case at all. If anything, I think those guys have a reason to want to prove themselves. And he seems like, in the interviews, he seemed like a legit kid who really wants to be a good pro. I don't think there's much to the concept of the Sherman thing is actually a really good point. I didn't even think about it, but the concept of the smaller receivers playing against those big corners makes sense. It really does. I mean, they're quicker than, no offense, but Quentin Patton's quicker than Richard Sherman. Just by the nature of how long the legs are. But I don't think there's anything to worry about with Patton from a Louisiana Tech perspective. I don't.
I think Patton is ready to go. And you mentioned the SEC. Let's not forget his best game came against the team that did well in the SEC, Texas A&M.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't really have any doubts about his ability to come in and go against a Richard Sherman from the mental side of things. But really, the whole thing with him is going to be just all about him knowing that offense. And especially when you're going against big corners like that, you got to know where you're going, because when they're up there in your face ready to jam you, you need to be obviously looking at the coverage, understand what's going to happen. And you got to figure out, okay, how am I going to get inside of this guy to run my route that I need to route? Or how am I going to get outside? You have to figure out how you're going to set the corner up because these guys like to get in your face, and neither one of them are too fast. So it's all about slowing you down from the release point. And
absolutely,
that's where you have to get off that
one
jam.
of his strengths.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is, and it's a strength because he's feisty and he's a naturally feisty kid, and he's going to work for it. And he's got enough quickness that I do not think it would be wise for certain players and certain teams to jam him all the time, because he's got enough quickness and enough, he's got enough strength to run through it that, he's one of those guys who could take the top off of the defense. Now, is he going to be successful in the first year in that offense? I don't know. It depends on how quickly he can pick up certain aspects of it. But if they put him in a situation where they know he can be successful, such as in the slot, where he's got a two-way go and there is some off coverage, he will be successful. It's a matter of what that offense dictates for him to do and what the personnel is. And just like everything else. From a pick perspective, it was as valuable. There was more value to that pick than almost any pick in the draft. And it's just, you guys are lucky to have a team that does that almost in every round. It's just, you know what I mean? And I guess you could say that it's okay to be able to have that kind of roster where you've only got a few spots where you have to worry about it, but it's still you're hitting on them. You're not missing on picks, and I think some of the picks that look like misses, like Michael James, I think that given an opportunity, who knows? It was impressive. We were watching the draft, we were seeing it shake out, and we just shook our heads as he continued to fall. And it was another one of those. Well, they just upped the ante on the Seahawks, and it just seems like it's a little power race going on. Yeah, they did. Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, Scott, it was great having you on, man. We could go on till tomorrow talking about this. Man. I like the convo, man. Definitely appreciate it.
I could. Anytime.
I want to get you back on sometime soon, man. I like the talk that we had. You definitely bring it. And why don't you give our listeners your information, how they can follow you on Twitter, because if they're not following, they're missing out.
The Twitter is at Bischoff_Scott, and there's a website is newerascouting.com, and find me there and ask. We can. I love to talk football, so I'm good with all of it. It's good.
All right, awesome. So there you have it. Thanks a lot, Scott. Man. We look forward to getting you back.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it. I really do.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. We are continuing here with our training camp lead in the week before. We just hung up with Scott Bischoff of New Era Scouting. He gave us a lot on Quentin Patton. We were talking about the wide receiver position going into training camp. We're looking for another person to have a lot of insight. We have Christian Jen, the 49ers beat writer of the Examiner here, is going to be able to talk to us today. Christian, welcome. Thank you for coming on.
Hey, it's good to see you have me here. Good to talk to you guys.
Hey, Christian, what's up, man? Glad you could come on the show, man.
Yeah, so how's the off-season been, or are you looking forward to next week?
Oh, yeah. It's been real interesting, especially as you already documented, the wide receiver position battle. Lots of open competition. The one that's under the radar, of course, is punt returning. We really don't know who becomes the primary punt returner as well. That's the position I'll kind of be eyeing as well, but we really can't judge much from minicamp and OTAs.
Yeah, so that's definitely that's a good one.
Yeah. I've been hearing about Michael James back there. What have you been hearing about that?
He definitely looks fine. You see him and you see Kyle Williams. They both look pretty even so far, based on just what I'm seeing or what they're showing. They've been kind of trying everybody out, from B.J. Daniels to other wide receivers, like even Quentin Patton getting time there. So they're just kind of showing everyone with reps. And then, but yeah, I believe Michael James is the front runner for now. Him and Williams are getting the most reps.
So.
Yeah, I agree. I like Kyle Williams there at the punt return spot. I think he's our best option. He's an explosive player, and a lot of people bring up the things from the past, but you got to remember he was a rookie that was just thrown out there that week. So I think that he's the guy that's going to win that position.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see them splitting it. I could see Kyle Williams and Michael James splitting it. Christian, have you ever seen Chris Culver back there? He had done it a lot when he was with the Gamecocks.
No, I have not. I have not played him there. And there's a correction, by the way. Kyle Williams was in his second year when I know we talked about the history. That was a second-year player at the time.
Right. Well, first year involved in playing because he was off on the practice squad. But yeah, good one.
Yeah, you were talking about Kyle Williams. How is he looking coming back from injury?
So far, they just kind of give him some limited time. You see him playing a little bit of reps, and then he just walks back to the weight room. That's mainly what I was seeing from him. They didn't give him much like wide receiver time, but he was getting just a few reps as a punt returner. That's all you saw.
Okay, well, check it out. This is how our radio show works. We get guys coming in, and we got Ian Williams coming in. Ian, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Oh, man, I'm excellent, man. Definitely glad to have you on. Looking forward to seeing you get your spot, get your job going this season. Glad you were able to come on back, and congratulations on the deal you got.
I appreciate it. I'm excited about the season. Just bringing in Glenn, it's going to have some competition, and, whoever wins out, we really don't care. We're just trying to win the championship. That's all we're trying to do out here in San Francisco.
There you go, a team player right there. Ian, we got Dylan DeSimone, my co-host, and we also have Christian Jen from the San Francisco Examiner on there. And you guys are both guests at the same time, so we're just going to have a nice little group panel. And Dylan, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
What's going on, Ian? Dylan DeSimone here at Bleacher Report. I cover the team exclusively. And, it's been exciting, reading more about you this year coming out. Was one of the only guys to kind of make the practice, kind of boost your way and make to the lineup. And, definitely excited to see you compete with Glenn Dorsey this year.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I've been watching for 2 years. I haven't played too much, but I was looking to come into a great situation to have a great D-line coach like Jimmy T, Coach Tom Sula, and have guys like Justin Smith, Ray McDonald, Ricky Jean, and Isaac, to be able to come in and learn from those guys and just have them teach me and just be around and just seeing everything that they do, it's kind of helped me and got me to the position I'm in now.
So where do you project yourself to play? Are you going to play mostly at the zero tech, or where do you think you're going to fall out in the rotation?
I'm not sure, actually, but most of my time that I played actually during the regular season was actually at end. So I can play end, nose, so, it's out of the position. We'll see when camp starts. Nice.
Well, definitely looking forward to it. What are some things that you feel that you have to change in order to, adapt to your role as an active player? You're going to be on the active roster every week, and in my opinion, you're going to be somebody that's going to contribute. So what are some things that you've done during the off season to get yourself ready for this new role that you're taking on with this team?
One, just getting older and smarter. That's first and foremost. Getting my body ready. I've been working out with Justin and Ray most of the time, and then during the OTAs, just having Ray next to me and just talking through stuff, and then, talking to Patrick and Bo, and it's great to have, all that feedback from those guys. So, they're seasoned vets, so that's where I'm trying to be. So I'm just lucky to have a veteran group like I have out there right now. I'm just trying to plug in, me and Glenn just trying to plug in and trying to win the ship. That's all we're trying to do.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. So if you feel that there was anything, what do you think that you need to work on as far as like your style of play? Like if you had to kind of define what you bring to the team, are you a guy that you think is going to be a clogger? Are you a penetrator? How do you feel you're going to contribute to this defensive line?
I'm just trying to just come in and make plays, do my job and make plays. I think my technique-wise, I need to get better, in every facet of the game, but I'm not really worried about that. I'm just trying, focus on just getting smarter, learning the game more, and just preparing my mind for, actually being on the active roster like every game.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be interesting seeing you on the active roster and contributing. So what's the vibe been like at OTAs, man? How was Coach Harbaugh treating you guys?
He was treating us good, just like old Coach Harbaugh, just doing what he needs to do, overlooking the team and with everything going on, with Crab's injury and stuff like that, and other things going on. But I think he kept the team, the morale pretty high.
That's good. So big Lawrence Okoye is going to be joining the team. And what's your take on him? He's a big man, huh?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, Harbaugh was kind of admiring his physique. So Do you think that he's somebody that will be able to come in the next couple of years, and he looks like he's going to take a route similar to what you did as far as like developing with the practice squad, but definitely
Yeah.
at a disadvantage in that he has never played football. Do you think that he's going to be somebody that they'll be able to keep around for a little bit?
I think he could. Lawrence is a great guy, first of all, and then he came into a great situation, having having Jimmy T, having the D line that we have now, and having Justin. Just like I told you before, just having those guys, that older set of guys, who played in the league, and then having Jimmy Thompson, who's one of the best D line coaches in the league, and then being under Vic Fangio and just being able to learn and the schemes of defenses and stuff like that. So he's coming to a great situation, and then he's not, going to have to get thrown into the fire. He's going to be able to learn, and then Jimmy T's been working on it just with all the other rookies, and it's getting better. And I've seen a lot from day one to where he is now.
Right. Well, being a Notre Dame guy and a 49er, there's another D tackle that took the same route as you, and that's his name. So what are your thoughts? Like, has Brian Young reached out to you and worked with you at all?
I talk to BY every now and then. I haven't seen him in a few weeks. He actually came out here. He was just touring around and stuff like that. But I mean, since he coached me up at Notre Dame, I really haven't talked to him too much, about the ins and outs and X's and O's and stuff like that. He's been more of a guy I just talk to about stuff. He's asking me how I'm doing and how's everything going and stuff like that. But I really haven't, reached out to him about all that stuff yet.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you coming on, and it's definitely good talking to you. We want to make sure we get you back on at some point during the season, and man, I'm excited about this season. I'm in Philadelphia, but I fly out to a lot of the games, and I go to a lot of road games as well. So I can't wait to see how everything works out. It's definitely a Super Bowl season. I think is there for the taking. So I wish you the best on the season, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. I'll be out at training camp, so we'll try to catch up then.
All right, cool. Appreciate it.
No problem,
Keep
man. Thanks for
this
coming on. Oh, yeah, for sure. There you have it, Ian Williams, defensive tackle / DN, 49ers. Look out for him. We're going to go ahead and go to a break. We'll be right back.
Cigar fans, check out fifthdowncigar.com and enter the coupon code PFC to get 10% off your order. Lots of nice high-end cigars. That's fifthdowncigar.com. Enter the code PFC for 10% off your order.
You had it, Ian Williams of the 49ers. Definitely appreciate him coming on. Pretty good talk that he had. I'm definitely excited about the season. So we got Christian back on, Christian Jin of the San Francisco Examiner. Christian, what do you think, man? How do you think the defensive line rotation is going to pan out?
There's definitely some of the uncertainties with all the injuries right now, but it's really going to be interesting when the competition rolls up. I mean, there's really not much I can say with like who's better than someone else because we barely see them have a lot of action in the OTAs and in the spring.
Exactly.
But I really like just kind of the depth and seeing a guy like Glenn Dorsey, and maybe we could see surprises from someone like Ian Williams. You never know, really.
Yeah, that's a good point. One thing he did say was that he was working out a lot with Justin Smith and Ray McDonald, and I'm excited about both of them, and I'm glad that they're taking the leadership role upon themselves to help him get ready for this season. Like we talked about, he's going to be becoming an active player on the roster, so he's going to be banging every game and all throughout the week. So hopefully everything goes well. He stays injury free and he contributes because he seems like a really good guy. So I definitely going to be pulling for him. So what are some other things that you're going into training camp looking to look at with a closer eye?
Definitely the outside linebacker, mainly the reserve outside linebacker position. We're not sure what's going to happen, of course, with Brooks, but behind that, there's just a log jam between Cam Johnson, Paris Harrelson, Darius Fleming, I think, converted a little more to the inside. I know he was hurt. And then, of course, the guy that was just drafted, Corey Lemonnier. We really do not know what he's going to be like. So the backup outside linebacker position is what I've been looking a little bit closer at, or at least I will be.
Yeah, I think that Lemonnier is going to be a guy that down the line they're going to replace Brooks with. I hope everything works out with Ahmad Brooks. I like him a lot as a player. Off the field things aside, he's definitely somebody that is a presence. He's very underrated as a pass rusher. He may not get the high sack numbers, But if you look, he always got pressure on the quarterback, always. And then this year, one thing that I saw him take a step forward in is his ability to drop back in the passing lane. I mean, you look at the interception he had against the Saints, man, that was a huge momentum turner. And then you look at the ball that he batted down right before Bowman made that great play in the NFC Championship. So he brings a lot of value. Hopefully he's not suspended or anything like that. What's your take on the corner position? You know, you got Nnamdi that came in. Chris Culliver is another guy that's going to be on the roster. Obviously, he's going to be coming up for a new deal soon. Rogers is going to be coming up for a new deal. Terrell Brown, you know, what's your take on the corners?
I still see Rogers and Brown as the starters based on the seniority and based on the incumbentness. I know people put in Asamoah. I mean, there's still a lot of uncertainty there with the I think there could be a rotation potentially with Asamoah in the mix. I know Culliver was good as a reserve corner until the postseason rolled around, but the regular season, I thought the corners were fine. I still see Brown and Rogers being the starters, though, if we're talking.
Yeah, I agree. So when they go to the nickel package, would you agree with me that they're going to bump Rogers inside just like they have been? And obviously, Culliver will be on the outside along with Terrell Brown. How do you feel about having those guys in the nickel package? And, I mean, do you think that that's going to be the nickel package, actually?
Well, right now with the nickel package, I'm really unsure because of just how much we've been seeing players go in and out, and there's still an open competition up ahead. But if we're just basing it hypothetically off of those three, I think it'll be okay. But that's still a kind of glaring weakness in the team coming up, like in the defense. That's the one uncertainty is up in the secondary. We're not sure how much they rebound from last postseason coming up.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, the pass rush had a lot to do with that too, but definitely wanted them to go ahead and draft a corner. They did late, but I think another thing that will help out is Parrish Cox. He's a guy that could cover the slot. So I'm definitely looking forward to him getting some more time. Hopefully he will show his value in the preseason. We have another game against the Broncos, his former team, and he was on the show last week, and he said that he was really looking forward to that matchup once again. You look at how we started the season last year against the Packers, it was a lot of dime. And in that package, he came in and he actually drew Randall Cobb as his matchup. So, and did a pretty decent job against him. And as you know, with these opponents, you got Tavon Austin twice. You got Percy Harvin twice. You know, so we're going to need a corner like that to step up. Do you think Nnamdi even makes this roster? Because he's obviously not going to play special teams, whereas Parrish Cox is a guy that will play special teams. His deal isn't guaranteed. Would you be surprised if Nnamdi doesn't make the roster?
I definitely would be shocked. I mean, Nnamdi would really have to really fall off in training camp for that to happen. That would be shocking if they do release him. I think they keep him. It's just almost like an audition year, of course, and an audition contract, as you know. But it's still. I really doubt that he gets released. He'd have to do something bogus.
Yeah, it would be surprising, just from a name perspective. But if you look at it, it's definitely something that could happen, just simply because of the fact his deal is not guaranteed. And like I said, he's not going to play special teams. Where is he going to fit in as a corner on this football team? That would be my question. And like I said, you got Los Rogers that could play inside and outside. You got Chris Culliver, who shows down the line potential to be moved over to the safety position. You got Parrish Cox. I mean, there's so many players. We didn't even talk about Tremaine Brock, who has been a special teams maven as well. So there's so much to look at when it comes to the secondary, specifically the corner spot. What are your thoughts on Eric Reed at the safety position?
He's been looking good. He's going to be battling Craig Dahl very deep. That's going to be the big starting position battle that we'll be keeping a close eye on because Dahl, I know people just say, okay, Eric Reed steps in because he's the first-round pick. But Craig Dahl, people forget that he's got the experience of a starter as well. And I think that'll be a very close battle. But from what I've seen so far, Reed looks good. Obviously has few inexperienced moments here and there, but I've liked what I've seen from him so far in mini camp and OTAs.
Yeah, I think everything's designed for Reed to be the starter. He's going to come in, and I would be shocked if he doesn't win that job in the preseason. Um, Craig Dawes, special teams guy, I definitely think that he brings value there. Do you think Whitner is going to have the same type of year as he did last year? I mean, you look at, unfortunately, the Super Bowl. I link him to 3 touchdowns. What's your take on Whitner coming into this year?
I still think Whitner's very hungry. I think he's motivated as well from what he's seen last year. He's one who will really just analyze and look deep at the tape, and I think he'll come back strong. I know, as you said, people will think about the Super Bowl, but he still came off a very good year, even though the last game wasn't great.
Yeah, C.J. Spillman's another guy that could come in and play. So this roster is so deep, and I think every practice at training camp is going to be so crucial, man, because you got some guys on there that are really on the bubble. I mean, you mentioned Cam Johnson. I mean, that he was a good pass rusher in school. I mean, he's a guy that they got last year, and man, there's so much competition. On this roster. Are there any surprise cuts that you think may happen, or any surprises come?
Well, I guess the people I viewed as cut aren't really surprising, so not exactly. Maybe, I guess, DeMarcus Dobbs out of last year. I wouldn't be shocked if something like that happens, because they might feel like probably what Vance McDonald's brought to the table at the tight end position. I think they feel better. Yeah, DeMarcus Dobbs would be the only shocking quote-unquote cut from out of last year's team that I can think of.
Okay. Well, there you have it. Christian, I appreciate you coming on. Why don't you go ahead and give everybody a shout-out, let them know where they could find you on Twitter, because I definitely think that you're worthy of following. You bring the 49er updates all the time, and Niner fans need to know what's going on, and you're a good source for that.
Yeah, so it's Twitter. My handle is Christian, my first name, underline Gin, Gin. That's my Twitter handle, so you can find me. And also it's examiner.com. It's kind of a long user, but if you can Google my name, Christian Gin, it's the first result.
Christian took the high road. Google me, baby.
No, well, it's right on my Twitter handle. That's the best way to find me.
Man, I'm just giving you a hard time, man. You're all right. So, yeah, man, thanks for coming on, and we want to get you back on sometime during the season so we could talk. I'll be at training camp first week of August, so look forward to meeting up with you, and thanks for coming on, man.
No, thanks for having me. It was good talking to you guys.
All right, for sure. So we're going to go ahead and go to another break and come back and wrap it up.
Football fans, looking to get healthy this year? Now is the time, and I have the perfect place for you. Save 10% at onit.com/football radio. Exclusive PFC radio listeners save 10% off their order. That's onit.com, ONNIT.com/football radio.
All right, so we're back on to wrap things up. We had a nice guest list today. Scott Bischoff of New Era Scouting. Appreciate you coming on, Scott. And you can find Scott at BISCHOFF_Scott on Twitter. And then we had Ian Williams of the 49ers, our special guest today. Appreciate Ian coming on. And we're definitely looking forward to seeing him during the season. And last but not least, Christian Ginn of the San Francisco Examiner. We were glad that he was able to come on. And, hey, man, a lot of talk today. Had a little technical difficulties, but you know what? You work on the fly, and you just make things work, you know? So that's what we did. Appreciate everybody coming on and listening. Look forward to next week's show. We're going to have special guest A.J. Jenkins of the 49ers, a favorite of mine. And then also we're going to have Brian McGovern, a.k.a. B-Mac, formerly of Sirius NFL Radio. He was actually the first announcer, the first sports personality on Sirius NFL Radio. So looking forward to seeing B-Mac be back. And stay tuned next week. Thanks for listening, and we're out.
This has been a presentation of the Pro Football Central Network. For news, blogs, highlights, and more, log on to ProFootballCentral.com.